Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cynthia Giles, and I am your board chair this year. I'm also the owner of Cutthroat Marketing, and I have the honor of introducing District 5 trustee Rebecca Blackburn-Hines for our invocation. If everybody will please stand.
Please bow your heads with me to pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today and thank you for your presence that fills the mind and heart of every person in this room. We know when we gather together, you always have a divine agenda for us, for you have assured us that when two or more gather, you are here. We ask for your continued guidance and wisdom as we each work to provide meaningful contributions in Irmo through our businesses, schools, and neighbors. We ask that you allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Finally, Lord, as we listen to the words of our speaker today, we ask that you fill her with encouragement and you let us all be filled with your Spirit. Wherever we go, let us spread love and joy, peace and faithfulness, and may all glory for our achievements go up to you today as always. In your name we pray, amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see everybody here. We have a great crowd. This is the last this is our last luncheon of the summer because we always take the month of July off so that Ginger and I can recharge our batteries a little bit. But it looks like you guys are absolutely enjoying the food. We've been looking forward to this for a long time. Irmo finally has some really fantastic restaurants, one of them being Louisiana Purchase right across the street. So I'm going to ask Mary Catherine to come up really quick and tell you guys what they have going on over there, because she's the one that fed you guys all of this. So come on up.
Well, I certainly cannot take all the credit because my husband cooks the food. So, but we do own Louisiana Purchase, my husband Thomas and I, and we are hoping you're enjoying your lunch today. Hope you can come in. We're open 11 to 4, Tuesday through Friday, and also Saturday for brunch from 10 to 1. We have an exciting event coming up next Friday, the 17th. We're doing our second wine dinner, and we have tickets that are available to purchase. We are going to have 5 courses with our new wines with each course. Lots of fun. It would be a great Father's Day gift for sure. And we also just found out we have been nominated for 7 categories with the free times. And we would greatly appreciate your votes. If you follow us on Facebook or either go to our website, you can easily vote. It'll just ask you for your, name and email, and then you can go in and vote for each of the 7 categories. So we would really appreciate your votes for that. And we also have a catering menu if you're interested in catering an event. We don't deliver, but we can get anything and everything ready for you for any event that you need. So please come see us. We're right across the street in Murraywood Center. So thank you. Anything else?
No, you're good. You can go. All right, she's got to run back and actually feed the people who are in her store. A plug for Best of Columbia. Most of you know I gave 10 years of my life to Free Times, that publication. I worked there for 10 years. It is the most legitimate Best of Columbia contest that is in this entire town. So take the time to vote, and please vote for Irmo Chamber partners. Go and vote. We have a lot of partners that are up for a lot of categories, so please go and vote. All right, we got some folks here I'd like to recognize today. Bill Danielson, our councilman back here, who brought his entourage with him. We have Dr. Barb Waldman right here, our councilwoman. Thanks for being here. Glad to have you. All right, of course we have District 5 trustee Rebecca Blackburn-Hines. We have our fire marshal here today, Mr. Brian Haley. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate you. And we have Chris Caterly and Chris Stokes. Chris Stokes is here too, yes, yes. Is he on the way? Okay, they're here. They're our code enforcement officers for Irmo Police Department. So they're the ones that are in charge of making sure that, you know, people don't park in the yard and put chickens in their yards, and they make sure that you have good quality of life here in Irmo. So thank you for all you do. We appreciate you. And of course, my board and my diplomats, please stand and be recognized. Y'all are amazing. Love you so much. Thank you, thank you. Ginger and I could not do this job without the help of all of these amazing people, so thank you so much. At this time, Cynthia, you want to take the microphone around. If you are new, you have not introduced yourself to this chamber. If you are a new partner, this is your first time with us today, you have a big announcement, whatever, please stand up and take the time to introduce yourself. I know that there are lots. Olivia, stand up.
Okay, I'm Brooklyn. I just opened up in Serenity. My business is called Zen Skin, and I'm doing 20% off on all facials, services, add-ons, and products. So I'm new and everything, so yeah.
And Serenity's right across the street in Murraywood Center, too. So y'all go visit.
Hello, everyone. My name is Minifa Bird. I'm the Business Development Specialist with South Carolina State Credit Union, and today I brought one of my branch managers. Sorry, I kind of put her on the spot. Her name is Ms. Nikoa. She is our branch manager at our Broad River branch, Broad River Road branch, I'm sorry, and this is our first one that we are attending with you all, and we're very excited to come to more, and nice to meet everyone. If you guys need any financial needs, come see us.
Welcome. Glad to have y'all here.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Peter Chavetz with Liberty Containers. I was part of the chamber for a while, so I wasn't sure when you said someone new. I'm like, I don't know, but under a new business here. I was in the mortgage business for a while. Am flipping homes full-time, but I have had a need with a lot of trash. And so I got into the roll-off container business, and we're headquartered right here in Irmo. We started about a year ago, and we've opened a branch down in the Charleston area, and we just opened up in Aiken as well. So I'm very proud to be headquartered here in Irmo, though, and if there's anything we can do to help you guys out with roll-off needs, let me know. Good to be here.
All right.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Alexander. I'm here with Pyramid Contracting and I'm Olivia. Co-worker and marketing manager Olivia. Our corporate office is here in Irmo, and we're having a grand opening. We just moved to our new office on June 22nd. If anyone's interested, from 4 to 6, out in Western Lane.
We'll be out there. We'll have a lot of folks out there. It's a joint ribbon cutting with the Columbia Chamber, and they've built a brand new building out there. So y'all, it's going to be a great after-hours event. So come out 4 to 6 on June 22nd.
Dr. Matt said no, they don't need to introduce themselves.
Oh, okay. All right. Is there anybody else? Yeah.
Hey, I'm Christian Stegmeyer. I'm with Collins and Lacey. We're lawyers and we're litigators, and we're delighted to be a member of the board. What I would say to everybody is this: if you ever got a question about the law or just have an issue, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm glad to answer questions. The meter's not running. If I can put you in the right direction as far as things goes. And y'all might have seen some signs too as well. I'm running for the General Assembly. I want to say two things. I was delighted to be reunited with Dr. Kennelly, who was my principal in elementary school. I'm a Nursery Road champion. And talking with Miss Carter too as well. She was my daughter's teacher at Chapin, and she's one of the people that put my daughter in a place for success, and I'm delighted she's here. And I also, you don't typically talk about other candidates, but I just want to talk about Rebecca Hines for a second. Obviously, I'd like it if you'd vote for me, but I want to talk about what a good and decent person Rebecca is. And she and I have kindled kind of a friendship. We've been able to talk to each other, and she wants what's best. But again, I'd like it if you vote for me, but I'm just fantastically impressed with her. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Christian. And I want you guys to hear this announcement from Miss Lori. She's got a really cool announcement.
She's not running for office, is she?
She's not running for office. Yeah.
I'm good.
Oh, no. Hi, I'm Lori Wicker. I am with Celebrate Freedom Foundation. We are over at the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. Our motto is to help veterans inspire the next generation. So what we do is we restore aircrafts, planes, vehicles, and then we take them to schools and talk to kids about STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. What she's talking about is we just got word that one of our aircrafts, our 1962 Huey, that is one of the original dust-off units, is actually going to be moved down to San Antonio, Texas, that we restored during COVID. So our veterans restored an aircraft. It's the serial number 25, A model Huey. So it's one of the small ones. But that's one of our things that we are proud of. It's our veterans inspiring the next generation. Thank you.
Well done.
That's so awesome.
That's really cool. She said you found it in the woods, right?
Yeah, up in Virginia.
Found it in the woods in Virginia, and they restored it. It's awesome. Awesome stuff.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Lori. All right. Is that all our announcements and new folks and everything? All right, good stuff. Of course, I want to thank a couple of people. Our beautiful photographer over here, Miss Lee Essig. Thank you for always capturing all of our events. We appreciate you. And of course, Ray with Raynet Technologies up there in the crow's nest. You do a great job. Thank you. And he was very happy to hear that he was going to get the month of July off. So thank you, Ray. We appreciate you. And of course, Cutthroat Marketing for always making our digital presence just amazing. So we love you guys. Thank you so much. Okay, I got a couple of little announcements before we get to our speaker, but Kim wanted me to announce that Castle Brothers is having a job fair today from 3 to 7 at their facility out on Broad River Road. And I always get that mixed up with Dutch Fork because, I don't live over here. But so it's out at their facility, and they're looking for folks who are interested in being HVAC technicians and plumbers. So if you know of anybody who's interested in that, she said they may hire some of them on the spot. So put the word out there if you know of anybody that's interested in that. And then, of course, my sweet friend Jack Sloan here, who is with Palmetto Lifeline, has asked me to tell you guys that he is in desperate, desperate need of foster families for kittens. It is kitten season. Morgan, I think that your children would like a whole litter of kittens. And JP, I think you're another one that should take some, and Jason, you should take some kittens with you. He's got them in the car. He's ready for them to go. He desperately needs foster families for kittens. They supply everything. They give you the food, the vet care. They adopt them out. You just have to care for them and nurture them while that process is going on. So if you're interested in that, there's a huge need. And, if your kids need something to do this summer, I can't think of anything more fun than fostering some kittens. Well, not me, but, Hashtag not a cat person. Anyway, all right. I wanted to recap our Red, White, and Blues. For those of you who came out to the park, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who supported that event. It was the largest. We doubled what we did last year in attendees, in vendors, and in fundraising. So thank you to every single person. A round of applause for all of you. Thank you. As you know, all of those events go to keep the doors of the chamber open, and I'm just so pleased at how well that event went off. Jonathan at Lake Murray Event Rentals was incredible, getting our tent set up and everything. And of course, Ginger, the hostess with the mostess. She's amazing. I couldn't do it without her. Well done. And our friends over here, Trey and Cindy, made sure we didn't have any mosquitoes in the park because it was like 9,000 degrees that day. It was the sweatiest one we've ever had, for sure. So we're going to make some really good upgrades to that event for next year. So stay tuned. It's going to be even better next year. So thanks to everybody who supported it. Lastly, if you'll look on your tables, there's a flyer on the table, and the Chamber has partnered with the town of Irmo for two reasons. A, we would like to try to help out some folks with the ridiculous, stupid, outrageous gas prices that are going on. It's literally affecting every single category of business in a negative way, except for the gas companies, of course. But we really are hoping that you will support this. It's a $100 sponsorship, and we will purchase all the gas cards. But Cindy came up with this event. It's a scavenger hunt, and we're trying to draw people. A lot of people are here for staycations because nobody can go away for vacations. So we're trying to encourage people to come to our parks. Irmo has 3 of the most beautiful parks in the entire Midlands, and so we're trying to encourage people to utilize our parks this summer. And so we're going to be doing 3 weeks, 1 week in each park, and we're going to hide gas cards throughout the park. And then, of course, every day we'll put clues out on social media, like with your business logo and name and all of that kind of stuff, to encourage people to go to the parks and look for these gas cards. They will be $50 gas cards, which won't fill up my Honda Accord, sadly enough, but, every little bit counts. So if you're interested in being involved in this promotion, see me, Ginger, Cindy, any of our board members, whatever, and we can get this squared away. It starts June 27th. I'll send out more information via email, but I hope that you guys will participate in this promotion. All right. You about ready? Okie doke. Let me put my glasses on really quick because I even printed it in like 30-point font and I still can't see it very well. So, okay, Amy Carter, who teaches English at Chapin High School, was named the 2022 South Carolina Teacher of the Year, and she's nearing the end of her term. Woohoo, right? Woo! This is one that has kept her really busy with speaking engagements as the spokesperson for more than 55,000 educators in the state of South Carolina. I had the pleasure of attending one of her presentations really earlier this year, and I was really moved and inspired by the connection that she has fostered with high school students. And Garrison, I'm sorry to say this, but high school students turn into aliens for a season of their life, as we all know, and somehow or another Amy has connected with them through writing and literature. Amy's presentation will give you the insight on her philosophy on teaching, so I'm going to leave that to her, but she received $25,000 as the Teacher of the Year, and she got to drive a brand new BMW this year. Which is incredibly well-deserved, and I imagine you've put quite a few miles on that Beamer, have you not? 24,000 miles on that Beamer this year. Amy is a fellow Bulldog, and she graduated from the University of Georgia with an English education degree, go Dogs, and she has a master's in educational technology from the University of South Carolina. So if you will please give a warm Irmo Chamber welcome to Amy Carter from Chapin High School. She's our South Carolina Teacher of the Year.
Cannot put this quilt over that cross. That would be like just asking for the smite button. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. So, thank you, Rebecca, for including me in your opening prayer. That has not happened yet this year, and that is very special because, believe it or not, while it looks like I'm old hat at this, it is nerve-wracking to get up in front of grown people. So, I'm used to kind of doing this to teenagers, but you guys kind of are intimidating sometimes. So I do want to talk to you today about, and do we have the slides to where we can, yep, there we go. Okay. So I want to talk to you today about what I think is the single most important thing about teaching. But my goal here is this, is that every single one of you leaves with an understanding of how to make a difference no matter what you do. Because the very best of us out there are teachers of people. And so I hope that some of what I say today is applicable to you.
over the past 24 months, over the past 2 years, the word distance has become a really important part of our vocabulary. We distance learn, we social distance. And the thing is that we're not made to operate that way. We're made to operate on proximity. Proximity is a special thing. It's really hard to sit face to face with someone and talk with them and come away from that conversation hating them. And so I think that our world has kind of grown used to that distance, and we have to find ways to pull that proximity back into our relationships with people. So I want to talk to you about what I call gold star moments. And this is the way I think about being an effective teacher, and I have learned a lot over my 23 years. I'm sure that I was not, the most awesome person when I first started, but over time, as we practice what we do, we get better at it. And so that can apply to all of us. And so this idea of gold star moments came when I was at Walmart, and I was shopping for a greeting card for somebody, and it was February, and I was teaching a class of seniors. Now, I want you to imagine what it's like to teach a class of seniors in February. They're charming people. I probably had assigned like the 26th essay of the year. Some of you are like, oh, no wonder. And they just didn't want to work for me, didn't want to cooperate. Their motivation was just at the very bottom of that barrel. And so I found myself at Walmart shopping for a greeting card with my kids. And, that's the section of the store where they have the wrapping paper and bows and all that stuff. And as I rounded the corner, these stickers caught my eye. And I thought, I wonder if those cynical teenagers who are addicted to their technology, I can't afford to bribe them, okay? I wonder if these will work. And so I went home that night and I finished grading the stack of essays, and on a couple of them that deserved some attaboys, I put that little gold star at the top of it, and I took them back to school, and I started passing them back. And I did so in this way, where I said, Mary, great job incorporating quotations. Like, you have figured that out. Let me show you what she's written, because it is beautiful. And I passed Mary's essay back to her. And all of a sudden, this crazy thing happened in the classroom. These 17-year-olds who wouldn't work for anything, they're like, wait, hold on, time out. You didn't tell us that stickers were involved. Had you told us that we could have gotten a glittery sticker, we'd have worked harder for you. And I thought, isn't that amazing? Isn't that incredible that the smallest bit of praise from someone, because let's be real, it might have been a little bit of the glittery sticker, but it was the praise that went outside the normal that made them want to be part of what was happening. And so as I think about what's most important about teaching, I think about that ability of the best of us to connect with and inspire people. And the more we can work on that, I think the better we will all be together. So let me tell you my own story, and hopefully through my own story, you'll have some takeaways to walk back into the community with you. So I have to begin with this. Let's see, am I on? I'm not on. Hang on. There we go, we're working. So I'm going to take you back to 1986. This is me. Oh, that's not me. This is me, 1986, and this is my first day of kindergarten, and I am ready to go. I've got my saddle Oxfords tied tight. I've got my strawberry shortcake dress with an apron, and somehow I have a Barnum and Bailey Animal Cracker Circus book bag. I have no idea how I wanted that, but I am ready to go to kindergarten. Pigtails tied tight, ready to go. And it looks like I'm just set up for success. Why wouldn't I be? But here's my confession to you. At the end of that year, I had failed kindergarten. And that phone call didn't come to my parents like this, that Amy, she's just not first grade material. I think that phone call came to my parents like, she just doesn't feel connected to what's happening here. She doesn't feel like she belongs. School is still very scary to her. I was the oldest child. Any oldest children in the room? You had to do everything first? Yep. Nobody went before you to show you how. And so there was this program back in 1986 in Georgia called Readiness. And it was for those kids who just weren't quite ready for first grade for whatever reason, academics, social behavior, whatever. And I didn't talk to anybody. And clearly they have fixed that problem. So off to Readiness I went. And I'm going to tell you, this is where I first learned the value of these gold star moments. So meet Mr. Knopf over on the left. And what I would say to you is this picture is a very old picture. And there's a reason for that, because about a year after he taught me, he passed away. If you have someone in your life who has motivated you, who has made you feel connected, please go tell them. Email them, text them. It's what we need right now. We need to reach out and tell each other that we make each other feel valued. And so let me tell you about Howard Knopf. Howard Knopf was my readiness teacher, and he did this crazy thing, and this is where like school board members and principals get really nervous when I talk about this, but he took this group of kids that didn't feel quite connected to school, and he invited us to spend the night at school. Now, as a 46-year-old teacher, I know exactly what he was doing. He was inviting us to be part of the community before we learned in that community. But as a 46-year-old educator, I also distinctly remember that night 39 years ago when I got to play in the housekeeping area for as long as I wanted. And I got to go in the loft several times because we all got more than one turn. Any 80s kids who had a loft in their kindergarten classrooms, remember when they marginally cared about our safety? Because we could push each other out of it. They only let one of you up at a time. And I remember going on the nature walk on the playground and him telling us to listen for what the owl sounds like. And I started to believe that this man was magical. And he made me feel part of the classroom. Ironically, it's the first time I got in trouble in school, and it was for talking when the teacher was talking. So it was working. So now I want to fast forward my story to high school, because I do believe that high schoolers are where my teaching mission was centered. And it was because of several circumstances with these next two teachers. So the one in the middle is Nancy Ward, and she was my 9th grade English teacher. And some of you might think, oh, I see, English teacher, I got it, but not so fast. There's one question that high schoolers absolutely hate, and it goes like this. What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? Because what happens is we spend 8, 9 years telling them, you can be anything you want to be. And then we spend 4 years saying, narrow it down. And that is intimidating. And some of us still don't know what we want to be when we grow up. And so what Nancy Ward did for me is she took that really scary question, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's boundless. And she gave it some boundaries. What she did is she was passing back essays that we had written for her, and I was a good English student. So she passed back this essay that I'd gotten an A on, and she said this. She goes, see me after class. Now, the good kids in the room, when a teacher says that to us, what do we think? Oh my gosh, like she thinks I plagiarized, I'm in trouble, what did I do? And I remember thinking, okay, maybe she should have said, you're not in trouble, see me after class. Which I learned to do that when I became a teacher. But after class, I stayed there, and she said, Amy, do you know what you want to do when you grow up? There's that question. And I said, not really. No, oldest child, none gone before me. And she said, well, no matter what it is, make sure that writing is part of it, because you're a really good communicator in writing. And I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. And she didn't have to tell me any more than, hey, good job, 96. But she took that extra minute to pull me aside and say, think about this. You're talented here. Pay attention to it. Nurture it. So I left her class, didn't know I wanted to teach, until I met this man over on the right, Coach Stephen Skeen. Now, this guy is a trope. I'm going to teach you an English word, like a stereotype in stories. This is the guy that I think we've all had, that obnoxious football coach who is on the verge of getting fired most of the time. Do you know him? Okay. He had a dented trash can at the front of his classroom from punctuating his lecture points with his foot. And he taught with a strategy board where he would smack the board and it would flip over. No one slept in his class, ever. The other thing that I love, and I love that it's part of this picture that I took out of my high school yearbook, is if you look at his tie, this is 1995, okay? So he had convinced the school to purchase this really expensive technology to purchase him a wireless lapel mic because he had a voice problem. He didn't have a voice problem. What he did is he stayed in the cafeteria after the kids, pushed them out of the ice cream line, got an extra ice cream cone, and started teaching civics on his way down the hall back to class. He would say, "Your butts better be in chairs by the time I get back." And boy, they were. And he'd walk in licking his ice cream cone with napkins in the other hand. But here's the thing about Coach Skeen. I had decided on day one that I hated this guy because I had a name that when you called roll, it got butchered. My very German last name, Bros, by a lot of people who speak English, was pronounced Bruce or Bruise or all kinds of things. Gross. I mean, come up with things, and that's what I was called because we say moon, spoon, soon, maroon when we're speaking English, but in German it was Bros. And I remember he tried it, but he came up with a brand new way to pronounce it. And in front of all the boys in the classroom, he called out, "Is Amy Bras here?" And I remember I sucked my teeth, and I rolled my eyes, and I put my head down, and that 15-year-old decided that I was going to hate this guy. Like, I didn't have time for this. So I put my head down. But here's the other thing that people didn't know about me. I was that kid that walked into school, and man, I was financially stable. I was dressed nicely. I had everything I needed. Not one fee went unpaid. But my home lacked stability because I was the daughter of someone with a profound mental illness. And when you are the daughter of someone with an undiagnosed profound mental illness, you go to school like this. If I can get better grades, I can fix it. If I can be president of that club, I can make it better. And that's a really heavy burden to shoulder when you're 14, 15 years old. And so I was coming into school one day and I was standing at my locker and the weight of the world was resting very heavy on my shoulders. And I remember I just lost it. I started ugly crying. Have you done that in public? Have you done that snotty, coughing, ugly crying where you can't pull it back in? And Coach Skeen was standing at his door doing hall duty. And I remember it took him 3 giant strides to reach me, and he threw a huge protective arm around my shoulder, and he steered me into his classroom, and he scrounged up some ice cream napkins, and he said, "Hey, bros," because he'd learned to say it by then, "what's got you down? How can I help?" And what I learned in that moment is that the very best educators are people who are passionate about what they teach, but they are purposeful about the people in front of them. What Coach Skeen taught me in that moment is that the very best educators are champions for children. They will stop the presses, shut down the world to make a kid's life find its track again. And I remember that's exactly what he did. It didn't matter that it was his planning block. It didn't matter that I was supposed to be in Miss Ward's English class. It didn't matter that I had rolled my eyes at him on the first day of school. What mattered in that moment is what he did for me. And so I decided if that is a job where I can use reading and writing and I can champion for high school kids because that's when it impressed me the most, and I can call that a career, sign me up. And so I thought, that's it. I figured it out. I know what I want to be when I grow up. And I bebopped off to the University of Georgia. And I thought, I've got it figured out. So I want to tell you the story of how I made a mistake at the beginning, because I think it's important that when we think about our big picture, that we remember what we learned in those low moments, those valleys. So I got my first job after becoming a graduate of University of Georgia. I moved here, and I got a job, and I was so excited because the principal called and said, "Hey, we're going to give you a class called Accelerated English." And this is where, if I have educators in the room, they start snickering a little bit, because I thought, this is great. They never give the new kids these classes. Like, this is going to be so great to have kids who really want to be in an English class in one of my classes. And so I got to school, and very quickly I learned that Accelerated English was a class full of 17-year-old freshmen. Do that math. Who had to learn as much as they could, as fast as they could, to be on track to graduate by the time they were 21. And even though I knew a whole lot about the trauma of a home with a mental illness, I knew nothing about incarcerated relatives, drug-addicted relatives, teenage pregnancy and parenthood. I remember I had a senior come up to me one day and she said, "Miss Carter, I'm not going to be here tomorrow." And I had worked with this senior over and over and over again about truancy. I was like, "You have to be at school. You have to be here." And she said, "No, I'm being pulled tomorrow for a parent conference." And I said, "Why would they pull you out of my class for your parent conference?" And she said, "No, ma'am, it's not mine. It's for my kindergartner." And I just wasn't ready for these big problems as a 22-year-old because I was 22 and my freshmen were 17. And I had to do as much as I could to make that gap feel bigger than it was. And so I remember one day the principal had come over the loudspeaker and she said, "Hey, I need you to keep everybody in the classroom. We've had too many fights this week and I'm tired of emergency vehicles showing up on campus. Just keep them in the classrooms. Unless it's an emergency, they don't leave." Got it. I mean, I'm that new car smell teacher who's going to follow the rules. And what happened is I took my eyes off the kids in front of me for just a second because the rules became so much more important. And so this boy came in, and he never came to school. He was one of the ones that I saw very rarely. And I was giving a quiz, and I said, "Okay, we're going to do some practice, and then we're going to take this vocabulary quiz." And the boy stood up, and he made for the door. Now, what are my marching orders? Don't let him out. So I followed him over to the door, and I said, No, you can't leave." And he said, "No, I've got to go get my shoes." I said, No, one more time. "You can't leave." And he said, "No, I've got to go get my shoes." And I remember I met him at the door. That's where we parted, because at the door, he took one hand and he pushed me against the wall. And with his other hand emerging from his pocket with a knife, he said, "If you don't let me get my shoes, I'm going to kill you." They don't teach you how to get ready for that when you're becoming a teacher. They don't go over that lesson in your teacher classes. They don't tell you what to do when a student is freaking out. And what I failed to realize as that 22-year-old person is that those shoes were so much more important to him than a pair of shoes. And even though I completely fault him for what he did, make no mistake, he should be in trouble and he should be punished for what he did. I share some responsibility in getting to that point with him. Because why didn't I pick up the phone and say, "Hey, can an administrator come help him? Can somebody walk him back to wherever these are and help him take care of this issue?" But no, I didn't do what Coach Skeen did. I didn't stop the presses. I was concerned with the rules, and I didn't figure out a way to look at the child in front of me. And he paid for it, and I paid for it, because I remember I decided that day that teaching wasn't it. 2 weeks before I graduated from the University of Georgia, Columbine happened. And I remember coming in from my student teaching and looking at the television and thinking, what have I done? And I remember committing to teaching and having this happen in November and thinking again, what have I done? This is bigger than me. I can't do this. And so I left school that night, the most down I have ever been in my teaching career. And here's the other part of that failure. Not one adult from that school called to check on me. The kid should pay for what he did. I should have done something differently. But where was the support when I needed it the most? And so I learned something from that moment, and I didn't go back to that school. The problems were too big, and the support was not there. And so I remember I decided I was either going to work at Starbucks or get another job. And so I called Chapin High School, and the principal answered the phone. That never happens. And I said, "Hey, I see you have an English opening." And he said, "Can you be here tomorrow at 4? "Yes, sir, I can." And so I got a new job the next year where I had better mentors who taught me when shoes were more important than a test. So this is what I've learned about these gold star moments that matter, the places where we have to start with people before we ever do the work. This is what we have to do. The very first thing that we have to do is let our light shine. Whatever that means for you, find your why for what you're doing. Why do you do it? And tap into that, because that light is contagious for other people. Marianne Williamson has a quote that she says, "As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to shine as well. As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others." People are real bad about talking smack about teenagers. They're such conformists. Crocs are back. Look at that. Who wants to wear Crocs? Look at us. We conform. Everyone conforms. The way I see that quote is we're all standing in this line of conformity. And when one of us decides to do something magical, inspirational, and we take the courage to step out of line, other people notice it. And it gives them permission to try something different as well. And that is so important in whatever we do, to be that inspirational, brave, and courageous person who innovates, who creates, who gives others permission to try it out. So this is what this means, letting my light shine at school. This is what this means, and I challenge you to adopt it for wherever you're going back to work in a minute. The first one, technology will always humble you as a teacher. So the first part of this is make your interactions with people remarkable. Let's play a little game. I have a high school senior who's 18. She just graduated, and I brought, he's going to hate that I'm pointing him out. I brought my brand new ninth grader with me today. And I ask these really dumb mom questions at the beginning of every school year, and I'm going to ask you, and you're going to know the answer. The first question is this: hey, how was your day? Okay. And then I keep going, and I ask the next dumb question. You ready? What'd you learn? Okay. Yep. How do we make our interactions with people remarkable? Now, understand, high schoolers, it doesn't matter if you cartwheel, if you teach without pants on. They will still go home and say fine and nothing, okay, when asked those questions. But these interactions that we have with people, if we make them remarkable, if we pass back an essay that's an A and then go one step further and say, have you considered writing as a career? Then that little echo chamber in the back of their mind, even though they go home and say fine and nothing, 39 years later will still remember those interactions that we have impacted on them. So make your interactions with people remarkable. Now, don't be the weirdo who goes down the hall and when everybody says, hey, how you doing? Give them an essay response. People will stop asking you how you're doing. They'll just say, hey, don't keep asking that one. So, but still, make an effort to plug into people when the moment is appropriate. The second part of this, praise and encourage the people around you. We are living in a world where people are just angry about everything. Like I could say, hey, I brought popsicles, and somebody would be mad. So here's the thing. The fix for this is so easy sometimes, okay? I think about teacher retention, and I think that some of the way to fix it is the simplest thing, like going to somebody and saying, hey, you've got this. I can help you. What do you need? So I'm keeping my eye on a young lady with 2 years of teaching experience because she's got that look of terror, like she's going to jump any minute. So on the first Friday of the school year, I sent her a text message, and I just thought, just going to check in with her. A little quick good deed for the week. It'll take me 30 seconds. So I sent her this text message, and I said, hey, how you doing? Just checking in. In case you need to hear it, you're a great teacher and coach. And I felt very proud of myself. Good deed for the week done, check. And she hits me with, I'm now crying. Thank you so much. I'm catching a lot of flack as a coach currently. And then she says this, I have to ask though, do you say that because I'm being destroyed on social media? Nope, haven't checked. Are you being destroyed on social media? Because baby girl, I've got 3 South Carolina Teacher of the Year accounts. I can make you look golden. And she says, no, I don't know if I am. I've not looked. I just didn't know if you'd heard I was having issues or if you just have a sixth sense for it. Y'all, we don't have sixth senses for that. What we have is experience, knowing that life is complicated and that sometimes our jobs get hard and heavy. And sometimes the young ones coming behind us, all they need is for one of us who's already been through the path to turn around and say, come on, you've got it. You can do this. So I remember I went ahead and pardon my Georgia Southern colloquialism here, but I said, ha, new teaching is sucky, because it is on some days, and it helps to hear that. I said, but the first 2 or 3 years are hard. I remember feeling like I was getting more wrong than right, and that's just not true. I promised myself that I wouldn't let new people feel this way around me, so I was just checking. You're doing more right than not. You're a good educator in person. Do your best to keep your eyes on the good people. Bullies fade away. And she came back with, your words seriously mean the world to me. So here's my question for you. Who in your community needs to hear that? Who in your family may need to hear that today? Take the time to type the text. Don't just think about doing it. Do it. It will be better people because of it. So let your light shine. Praise and encourage the people around you. Last part of this is replace the idea of attention seeking with connection seeking. Now, I'm going to talk about this in terms of students. You can think about it in terms of employees or coworkers. There are some people that there's not enough for. There's not enough medication. There's not enough Holy Spirit. There's just not enough. And they're never absent. As a matter of fact, they're always early. And so I want to tell you a story about Jake. And this is not his name, and I've hidden his face here for his anonymity. But I'm going to tell you, Jake showed up at my classroom door and he said, hey, I'm Jake. I've never read a book a teacher's assigned to me in my life. I said, sit down. Nice to meet you. Challenge accepted. He had 3 seats in my classroom, and what you're looking at here is the 4th. Because the 4th seat ended up being this one. Why don't you come sit next to me? How many of you were that kid for your teacher? Why don't you come sit next to me? Here's a tip. You guys make the best teachers. So he ended up in the seat in trouble after I had chased him around the classroom the whole day. And what I also love about this is look in the foreground, his AirPods. I had to even steal those away from him because I take the kids' phones, and man, they're smarter than me. The phone ended up in the drawer, and the AirPods were still in the ears, and I was like, I can't win. So finally got the AirPods, put them on the desk, told him to sit down and get his workout. Now let me back up. I started doing this thing with this group of kids who hated reading. I hate books. I hate reading. You're not going to make me do it. Okay. So I started first chapter Fridays, not my idea, but I went to the library and I checked out books that would make them want to read. And I only read the first chapter on Friday. And I got to the end of that first chapter with one particular book, and Jake looked at me and he said, you know, Miss Carter, I've been thinking. I think we're done with first chapter Fridays. I think we need to do whole book 10th grade. I said, no, that's not it. I said, no, I'm going to return this book to the library. You can go check it out. They'll give it to you for free. And he said, no, ma'am, I'm not going to do that. And so back to this day, after I had chased him around the classroom and finally forced him to get his Chromebook out, and they could use whatever book they wanted on this assignment. And I remember he pulled this book out of his book bag. Notice it's underneath his Chromebook behind him there. And his bookmark was more than halfway through of that book that he said, you know, I think you should read the rest. And I thought, I've got him. Now, I have no idea if he finished it, but more than halfway through, I'll take it. And he said this to me at the end of the year. He came up to my desk and he said, Miss Carter, I'm really hard to teach. And I thought, A+ for self-awareness. Good job. And he said, but you're really good at it. And I haven't had a lot of people who are really good at teaching me. So who are those people in your life who you think, gosh, they're so attention-seeking? And maybe it's because they need a little bit of connection. Now, one thing I left out of my story, I'm getting rusty here, is that Jake would show up with these racing shirts and racing hats, these motocross paraphernalia. And I know I look like I'm going to a motocross event right after this. I am not. But I started talking to him about it. Now, understand this, too. It did not make him behave. it made him misbehave with a conscience. So he would be bad, and then he would come say, I'm so sorry for being bad for you. But because I asked, because I inquired, because I went outside of what was interesting to me, it paid in dividends in the classroom. So the next part of this, creating gold star moments. This is the toughest part of my story. So I'm going to warn you that it has a bit of a trigger warning for sexual trauma here. But I want to talk to you about the power of zooming in. It's really easy to be consumed with our big picture, to wonder, is my lipstick still on? Are they going to like me? Are they going to even take anything away from this? It's really easy to be consumed with that big picture. And sometimes it takes us a conscious decision to zoom in on someone else's story in the room. 2 quotes. We do not see things as they are. We see things as we are when we walk into a place. And Walt Whitman tells us, be curious, not judgmental. How would the world be different if we asked questions rather than cast judgment? So I brought this quilt with me to kind of lead into the story because it was a gift from my grandmother when I was 12 years old. And I thought it was the ugliest thing on the planet. I have just committed Southern blasphemy. Okay, now my sister got a quilt that was pink and green, and my brother got one that was blue and green, and I got that. And I thought, what, did you run out of ideas, Grandma? Like, did you just clean out your remnant chest and throw whatever you had left on mine? Like, what is that? Now, as a Southern 12-year-old, I knew better, and I said, oh, I love it. I can't wait to put it in my room. And I remember taking it home and putting it underneath my comforter so that my spend-the-night company would never see how ugly my quilt was. Fast forward about 5 years, I was making my bed with my mom as a teenager, and she smoothed her hand over the quilt, and she hit one of these red places that I always thought really didn't match. And she said, you know, I remember her wearing this dress. There are moments in our lives where our perspective shifts in such a powerful way that the ground moves underneath our feet. And what I realized in that moment, that as the oldest child, I didn't get the leftovers. I got the heritage quilt. I got the quilt that she used her own dresses and my mom's baby clothes to create, to remind me who the powerful women in my family are. Now, I use that for many different metaphors in my classroom, and former students have seen this quilt for different kinds of stories. But what it's taught me about teaching is this. I had a student one time named Kayla, and that is not her real name, and this is not her picture, because I'm going to be real careful to shield her anonymity. But Kayla was a student who did not make my life easy. She came into my classroom in November. She was added late. And she was added with the principal saying, we gave you this one because we know you can handle her. When you have 30 kids like that? So, okay, I got it. So she came into my classroom and she slammed her book bag down and she headed for the corner and she covered herself up with a blanket. And I thought, they didn't teach me how to deal with that either. But I had enough people experience under my belt by this point to remember that sometimes shoes are more important than a test. And her ears worked just fine. And so I let her sit there in the corner and just let her listen. And I went on teaching my class, because here's something else I've learned about teaching. The kids are learning lessons, but they're also learning lessons. And so the way I treated her is the cue that I gave them about how to treat her. And so I remember at the end of class saying, hey, I've got this seat for you at the back. Nobody will see you. You don't have to participate. Just be part. And no matter what I did, it didn't work. Now, she would talk to me in the hallway, but as soon as she crossed that threshold and I became the English teacher, she was done, shut down. Many days she would sleep. She would bring that blanket and cover up. And I got so mad. And I thought, write her up, get her out. Write her up, get her out, make her somebody else's problem. Because I don't ever write up kids. And when I do, the entire administrative team shows up at my room because somebody must have died. So write her up, get her out. And then there's this other horrible phrase that teachers say to ourselves when we're really frustrated. And it goes like this. She's taking away the rights of others to learn. And then I have to question myself and think, learn what? Because I'm not just there to teach English. And so I checked myself and I went to the social worker and I asked her the question, I got to know her story. You've got to tell me her story because I need some compassion for this kid. And she said, well, Amy, how much do you want to know? And that quilt moment happened. And I said, I need to know all of it because I'm really frustrated. And she said, well, at 9 years old, Kayla's mom, she lived with her mom out in rural South Carolina, and she got off the school bus, and her mom was a meth addict, and she had sold everything she had for her next hit. And so at 9 years old in the 4th grade, Kayla got off the school bus and made to walk home, and between the school bus and home, she was gang raped by 3 neighborhood drug dealers. She didn't need to learn English from me right now. What she needed to learn is that this was a safe place for her to be. And so I did the only thing that works with teenagers, trauma-informed or not. And I said, hey, I bought you lunch, free Chick-fil-A, come sit with me. And I have to believe that that conversation was divinely inspired because when she came in and had lunch, I said this, I'm not interested in where you've been, but I am interested in getting you to where you need to be. And I'm going to teach you as much as I can about reading, writing, speaking, listening, so that someday people will listen to you. And here's the tough thing about teaching. She did. She started participating. Her hand started going up, and amazingly, she was smart. But I lost her in April. She disappeared. I don't know what happened to her. But this is why what I'm talking about is so important, because where one person sets the baton down with a student or a person, there has to be another person ready to pick it up and continue that race toward an empowered adult that they will become. I know I'm getting close to the end, so I'm going to make this last story really short. But the last part of this is break the script with people. It's okay to play, even in your workplaces as adults. And so this kid, Harry, he was part of my homeroom, and I had these kids from 9th grade through 12th grade, and I thought, okay, how am I going to make this their favorite class? Because it's not going to be through the character education lessons about bullying. That ain't going to be it. So the first thing that I thought was we could dress up together for Halloween. And so I proposed this idea, and the kids were really excited, and I love a trophy, go dogs. But I was like, we're going to win this costume contest. And they said, yeah, let's be Toy Story. And Harry came up to me, and he said, Miss Carter, I don't want to dress up. I want to go to the party, and I want the free pizza, but I don't want to dress up. I said, why? He said, Halloween makes me sad. Okay, never heard that before. And so I said, well, why does Halloween make you sad? And he said, because last Halloween my mom died, and I don't want to dress up. I said, I tell you what, you wear a green shirt, don't dress up. Do you have a green shirt? Because I'll buy you one if you don't. He said, yes, ma'am. I said, I tell you what, I have a feeling that these kids are going to have so much fun that you might regret that decision. So I'm going to be Andy's mom, and I'm going to bring my laundry basket. And in my laundry basket, I'm going to grab my son's Woody hat, and I'm going to put it in the basket. And if you feel like you should have dressed up, then you just come grab that hat and put it on your head, and boom, you're part of the costume contest. And thank God somebody took this picture of him. Now, I could tell you lots of stories about year 2. Man, he loved it. Mario Karters. He was a video gamer, and he stayed up all night playing them because his mom wasn't there to tell him to go to bed. But we pulled him in, and we made it fun. And the 3rd year, they came in, and they said, hey, we're going to do Scooby-Doo. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We're not going to win first place with Scooby-Doo. Nobody knows Scooby-Doo. And they said, no, look at his hair. We have the perfect Shaggy. And they planned the whole costume contest around this kid. And this is what I learned. In this Halloween contest, it gave Harry a family when cancer had stolen his. And I know it worked because he came up to my desk at the end of his sophomore year and he said, how do I run cross country? I said, I didn't know you run cross country. He said, I don't, but they do. And I want to be on the team with them. I said, baby, we'll get you on that team. And all the teachers at Chapin High School bought deodorant and practice clothes and tennis shoes, and we got him to the doctor and paid the athletic fee. And Coach Jack LeGrand, who I know is a legend, and many of you know him, said, get him out on the field. He can start practice as soon as he gets out here. And at the end of the season, Coach LeGrand gave him the Attitude and Effort Award. And right before the pandemic shut us down, he brought a griddle to school during our Super Bowl mass, and I thought, I'm going to get fired. The principal's going to walk by, and I got a kid with a griddle. And he said, no, I make grilled cheese for my brothers and sisters at night when my dad has to work. And I make a mean grilled cheese. I bet you do, baby. So he made us grilled cheese sandwiches. Every now and then we do get to know the end of the story. And about 3-4 months ago, he texted me and he said, Miss Carter, I'm doing fine. I voted in my first election. I've got a job as a cook. I'm living in Pennsylvania and I'm doing okay. Because every now and then we do get to know the end of the story. These moments matter with people. with students, and they lay the groundwork for effective teaching and effective leading. Right before the pandemic shut us down, I took this picture of my classroom because it made me so sad. The COVID disinfectant spray was something that we didn't understand what it was going to do, so we covered our bookshelves with shower curtains so it wouldn't mess up our books. And we all know why the bleeding control kit has to hang by our classroom doors. And right before I left the classroom, some of you are nodding, because of active shooters. We each have a bleeding control kit in our classroom. Right before I left the classroom and turned the lights off to start that school year, I felt this heaviness. And then I remembered the words to Leonard Cohen's anthem. He says this, "Ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." This world is cracked, and it is up to us to shine our light in those cracked places. So build these gold star moments into whatever you do. And as a little reminder, courtesy of these little hands right here, I have a gold star for each of you on the table on your way out. So keep it as a reminder that you have the power to be a teacher for the people around you and to make them feel connected and inspired no matter what you do. Thank you so much.
Well, Amy, I'm going to give you a gold star because you made Kim Mitchell cry, and it's not a real party unless Kim Mitchell is crying. So she cried the whole time. And you made my chair cry. You're amazing. I've heard that before. I've heard your presentation before. You've gotten a lot better at it over the time. Yes, you've done it a few times, right? Amazing, amazing. Thank you for your dedication and hard work. It is very obvious why you were chosen to be the South Carolina Teacher of the Year. But I don't know what happened. Okay, will you hang around for just a second in case some folks want some questions? Okay, thanks for being here. Yeah, you're not in trouble. It's not detention. Garrison, thank you for being with us today, too. We wish you the best next year at Chapin. We've got some door prizes. If everybody wants to get your little tickets out, we got some really cool stuff. Lisa from Nothing Bundt Cakes has brought us a bundt cake. It's a big one, so it might take you a little while to eat it. We're going to do the big one. All right, and that one's going to go to 324. Yeah. We're going to have some happy chiropractors back there. Y'all go get your backs cracked this afternoon. They got cake. All right. Next up, we've got a $20 gift certificate to Louisiana Purchase. All right. And that one goes to 305. Oh, George. No. George, by the way, for those of y'all who weren't at Coffee Talk yesterday, is the youngest realtor in the state of South Carolina. He graduated from Dutch Fork on Thursday, and then Friday went to LLR and got his real estate license. So, George, we love you. You're the best. I know. He's just the best. Okay. And David, you're a great mentor too, so thanks for all you do. All right. Next up, we've got the pralines from Louisiana Purchase, and that's going to go to 308. Casey. You like you some pralines, huh? He's like, I won something. Yeah, they're really delicious. Thanks. Okay. Next up. We at the DoubleTree over on Bush River Road, we've got a suite with breakfast for two. All right, and that's going to go to 328. Joe, that's what I'm talking about. All right. Yes. Okay. And next up is we've got a little buntlet from Nothing Bundt Cakes, and that is 302. All right, David. You probably can't even eat that, can you? Yeah, find someone who can. Okay, and then of course Kim gave us a 1-year maintenance agreement for Castle Brothers, and that goes to 264. 264? One off. No? Okay. I know, I can't believe like most people have been here the whole time. For my microphone, there it is. I hope you guys have a fantastic summer. Thank you so much for being here today. This was amazing, Amy. Amazing. Thank you. Don't forget to visit Allison Bruce in the back. Pays for your lunch. All right, y'all have a great summer.